We're live.
Hi, hello, welcome back to another episode of Nincompoops podcast. Uh, one of our hosts decided he just left. He just got up and left. He's gone.
Yeah.
He's no longer there. He's in the
As
background.
you may not be able to tell from the cameras that we are now adding as a feature of the show, it's Dean who's not here. They said we have his jacket, so say hello,
It
jacket.
is Wednesday, my dudes!
What the fuck? What is that?
They're
Why-
sunglasses.
Why do you have those? Why do you have those, Dean?
We found out. I found them in Suzette's room, and I thought they were the coolest.
That is that supposed to look like Deadpool or something? That looks like Deadpool.
You even see? It looks like you. I don't know. Looks like you can't even see through it.
I can see.
Oh, okay.
What?
Yeah.
I always wondered about Spider-Man and his white visor thing. Like, is he able to see through that, or is that just he's taking as a grain of salt because superhero character? He's like, oh, you see through
Yeah,
it.
that's the thing about superheroes and their clothing. It's like always skin tight. What if it's like hot?
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's breathable.
I mean, I assume just comic book logic. It works. Just don't worry about it.
But yeah, just imagine when it's like hot. You're just be like, oh, well, I'm super chilling because you're a superhero, and then there's no crime, so you're just like, okay, something happening, and you're just like sweating the whole time in your skin tight suit. That shit must suck.
Indeed. One of the lamest things I ever noticed was when it came to that white eye bit for when it comes to superheroes. When it comes to Batman and any of the live action movies, the Dark Knight series, and I'm like, oh shit, Batman's coming out, and then you just see it's just normal eyes. It's just it feels like something's missing for some reason when you don't see that white bits of the eyes.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just me, but I don't like it personally.
It can work on Batman because his whole thing is that it doesn't matter if you see his eyes or not. But with Spider-Man, you can't exactly have a big chunk of the mask just be you just see his skin. Not only would it give away his identity a lot more easily, but also it would look really terrible as well.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. Actually, in the movies, it's like that white bit, right? Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. I've never watched the Andrew Garfield movies, but I'm sure in all three of the recent iterations of Spider-Man, they all have the white thing on the mask.
I think the Andrew Garfield one, he used sunglasses type of thing.
Oh yeah.
He uses the lenses of the.
Yeah, was the Tobey Maguire one? It was just cloth or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it was see-through.
That was
yeah.
Yeah, they got the white bit. How was Spider-Man able to figure it out, but not Batman for some reason?
I don't know. I mean, Spider-Man's the man of the people. He found a way. Not Tony. Bruce Wayne. He's like,
they're both very rich assholes.
I'm gonna throw money into hiding my eyes, and then the money can figure it out. I guess.
I think for the Dark Knight series, I think they just went for if a billionaire had money, this is how he would turn it. It's almost realistic kind of thing.
What's the most recent iteration of Batman again? What was that actor?
Was it Ben Affleck?
Ben Affleck, yeah.
Ben Affleck.
Or has the Twilight guy started yet? I don't even know. I don't follow.
No, I don't think that one started yet.
Oh, okay.
No.
I'll be right back.
No, both Ben Affleck and the Christian Bale iteration just had just normal eyes.
Yeah, that's kind of lame.
It looks kind of goofy.
Yeah. It's like if you saw Hulk Hogan without the bandana,
The bandana or the mustache.
Yeah. Or the mustache. Like who even are you? I don't recognize you.
Crisp water.
Great. Now I'm just looking up actors and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't keep up to date. I was like, I don't remember that Twilight actor's name either. I remember he's in Harry Potter.
Yeah. That's how.
The only thing I know about him is
his
that
name was Cedric Diggory in Harry Potter. That's what I remember.
The only thing I know about him is that he hated Twilight, but it was money, so that he did it.
Didn't all the actors hate Twilight?
I don't know if that's true, but I do know he's well known for hating Twilight as the lead of Twilight. So
Oh, Robert Pattinson. There we go.
Yeah.
Patterson or Pattinson?
Pattinson.
Okay. I'm gonna forget that, but
yeah, don't get it mixed up with like Pat Robinson.
yeah, that guy. He's the next Batman, and whenever that's gonna come. I think what's gonna suck for him is just gonna have to like he's gonna have to do so well that people forget him as the Twilight guy because that's a challenge that people come across like when you get like a big role in something.
Yep.
Like I'm not sure if you guys know who Josh Radner is, but he's like he was Ted in How I Met Your Mother, and then he couldn't get a lot of roles because people just knew him as like Ted from How I Met Your Mother, and they couldn't see him as anything else.
Got you.
And that happened like I'm assuming it happens to like everybody or a lot of people. Like Dwayne the Rock Johnson, he's just, in every movie he plays with Dwayne the Rock Johnson just under a different name, you know.
I know exactly. All right. Yep. Right. Pat Robinson looks, or Robert Pattinson. Robert Pattinson don't look that bad as Batman. But still, going with the theme, not.
And people had doubts about Ben Affleck as Batman because Ben Affleck was known to have like a lot of drama. I'm not big on celebrity culture, so I don't notice it very well as some other people are into it. But yeah. I remember like him having like a terrible reputation before Batman, and then people were like, "Oh no, why him?" And then like he had a few movies, I don't know how many, and then people said he did good. So you know.
The only other movie that I remember Ben Affleck in was like Pearl Harbor. And that's like a movie my dad showed me when I was like younger. And for some reason he really liked that movie. So, yeah.
How between Batman though?
Yeah.
Huh? I'm sorry, I was just saying between Batman and Iron Man though, I much prefer Iron Man. I think Iron Man's way more charismatic, whereas Batman's very like edgy and depressed. Just like Batman, I save Gotham. You know, like yeah.
Oh.
And Paul ditched the podcast.
Paul said, "Fuck the podcast."
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. My Discord just like, what? Bleh. He took a massive dump all of a sudden for like a quick second.
Yeah, Discord does that sometimes. I get the RTC connection loss thing, and it's always annoying because it takes like a minute or two to like actually like get on it. Yeah.
And no, it was legitimately like a second for this one for some reason. Just like my entire thing just closed, and then I'm just back. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Could be worse.
Right.
I was about to say though, like I'm kind of more on the Batman train just because I'm more used to DC than I am with Marvel. I'm more familiar with that. And I think I kind of like grew up with like watching like Batman cartoons, so I'm like more. I think the one I remember most like on Kids WB was like literally the show called The Batman, and I remember really liking. I
like that too, but I think I just like Iron Man more because no matter what iteration of Batman I've seen, I think maybe just because of Robert Downey Jr., but he brings the character to life and it makes
definitely 100%
character very charismatic and like when you see Iron Man on screen, he like commands the scene basically, you know. Which is why people loved him so much until his character in Endgame, spoiler alert, got killed off. And you know, I think that taking him out of the equation was like huge for a lot of people. You know.
Yeah, indeed. I think like didn't the actor wanted to like stop doing Iron Man movies?
I believe so. I mean, isn't that kind of a lot of the Marvel, like the MCU actors? Because I think
that's a lot of actors in general who are like just like kind of one note, like James Bond, for example. Yeah.
Because I think what they want, like it's a good gig if you want to make a lot of money, but then once you have a few Marvel movies in, you're already like filthy rich. So
yeah,
exactly. At some point you're like, well, I could be Captain America or Iron Man for another decade, but I kind of want to be known as not just Captain America. I just want to be known as like I want to be known as Robert Downey Jr. or Chris Evans or whatever the fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I would imagine that's kind of a. Like I don't know the world of acting very well, but I would imagine it's like a hurdle that every actor just goes through when you have like such a huge role in something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like if it were me, I would also just be just as bored, just like acting the same thing over and over, because you kind of want to be an actor. Like one of the things, like or being like a voice actor, like you want to do like different voices or do different roles. if you're just like, nope, you are Russian voice man. That's the only thing you can do. This is the only thing we're paying you for. You're like, all right, time to bust out the
I think
again.
it depends on what you
get bored.
It depends on what you act for. I think with voice acting, there's something unique in that where unless you're voicing like a major cartoon, like SpongeBob, for example, like that's gonna be what you're gonna be doing for a while, assuming it's gonna be successful or whatever it is. Whereas with movies, like a movie franchise like the MCU, where I think the franchise has been existing over a decade now, right? Like it's been quite a while.
Eight?
I think so. Yeah,
it started with
for a while.
What was the first MCU movie? Was it Iron Man or Avengers?
I want to.
The Hulk, I think.
Yeah, I think it may have been the Hulk.
Incredible.
Was that 2007 or some shit? Because I remember like that shit when I was young. Oh wait, yeah. So MCU has been on for 13 years, and then once you're locked into a role in the MCU universe, you're gonna be there for a long time, and then all that filming, all that script reading, all that preparation, time spent on one character for a decade. You can't take on other projects while you're doing that work for the MCU, because the MCU, is the bigger project and it's what you're known for. So you can't do like this fun project that the studio is doing because you don't have the time for that. So I would imagine after doing Captain America for like a whole decade at least, you're like, well, I kind of want to try like a comedy movie or something,
Yep.
That's what I would imagine being an actress like anyway. Like unless you're just there for the money, where you're like, well, I don't care about about my career as an actor as much as I do the money I make from it. Like obviously you have to like both aspects, but depends on which you prioritize more, I guess.
Yeah. Or just like Marvel and Marvel comics, and you want to do the whole Marvel series, then can't really stop the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, I think actually, if you're an actor, and you don't want to keep going, I think you still have to keep going because of the contracts, right?
It depends on the
it's because of a contract, but
because like if they're like, hey, you want to take on this role, you have to dedicate this role until we write your character off or kill it off, or it's the end of the whole franchise. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Usually, but I don't know how long or how binding these contracts are. It's probably like
I would imagine it's very binding because one of the biggest aspects is selling like the actor. Like for example, like Robert Downey Jr. He like his biggest role may have been arguably Iron Man, but I feel like I feel like they have him bound because he's one of the selling points. Like, hey, this guy played Iron Man in the last movies, and you have to see him again because he was great in that. So he's gonna be great in this Iron Man movie as well, and it's gonna be a lot harder for Downey Jr. to just drop out if he doesn't want to do anymore, and find a new Iron Man and be like, hey, this may not be Robert Downey Jr., but you're gonna love this guy, right? Right? It's gonna be a lot harder to sell that.
Happened with the Batman series. It was just like, all right, we had like George Clooney, Michael.
Oh yeah, George Clooney. Yeah, I remember.
George Clooney, Christian Bale. It was The Dark Knight.
Arguably the most successful one that we know of, at least, or we're most familiar with.
The movie did well, yeah. I don't think people cared for him though. I think people cared way more about Joker in that movie than they did about Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm just guessing. I've seen the movie.
Or maybe they care more for just like Christopher Nolan was directing it. That's why.
Yeah.
That could be it too. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there was Ben Affleck for a bit, and then.
But yeah, if you're voicing like video games, like there's no telling usually that your name's gonna be put out there as like, oh, you're the star of this, because they don't care about the actor, they care about the character that's being voiced. When you're playing the campaign for Star Wars or some shit, you want to know who's you want to know what's gonna happen to Yoda or Obi-Wan. You don't give a fuck about who's voicing them, really. Like, you want the voice acting to be good, but you're not gonna be like, he did a really good job voicing Yoda. I want to see his other work. That doesn't happen as much in that world, I don't think.
I would argue to some extent, it's definitely not at the same level as like at like regular celebrities or actors, but
yeah,
I think voice actors, like, you definitely like some voices you come across and you definitely recognize them. Like, I've heard this voice before in this different media. And it just makes you pause and stop, like, where did I hear this before? And then you search it up, like, oh shit, it's just one voice actor. I recognize this. And then I mean, the same thing happens in like anime, I reckon, as well when it comes to, like certain voices.
Yeah.
Like you just like, I think that's the one where all three of us are most familiar with. Is that like, oh, there's this one voice. This one person's definitely doing this one voice that I remember hearing this like in multiple different animes or shows.
Well, I think that's not as comparable though, because I think the anime community is a lot more like connected among with like what goes on in the show, whenever. Whereas with something that's super mainstream, like the MCU or with the Star Wars franchise or wherever else, I think people care a lot more about the act. Like they care more about the actors there, but when it comes to like, the video games of those things, they don't care as much. Whereas with the anime, like because the talent pool is so like limited to like what you've already seen, you hear a lot more of that. I would imagine. So if so like the voice work, you do care more about that. Whereas with like the video game with like an MCU thing, you probably don't, you're probably there more for the MCU characters than you are the actor. If you were to want to search something up for that,
you reckon it's like more like a franchise thing, or is it more like like a Western and Eastern?
I don't think it's a Western Eastern. I think it's just the fact that like the people who consume both are very different types of people. I think. Because with one, it's like anime itself is like an art form that is brought to life by voice acting, whereas with MCU, it's more driven by like by the characters themselves, not by the acting. The acting does matter, of course, but I don't think people are there for the acting as much, unless it's like live action, MCU Star Wars stuff. Then yeah, people care a lot more about that. But yeah, I think when it comes to animation, the priorities, the priorities or whatever else the fans want, it's different for each of those.
Oh yeah, definitely.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, if you're comparing like the MCU, I assume we're just talking about like the actual movies, like the live action and acting and all that. So it's definitely going to be a different comparison between like voice actors and anime and like movie actors here.
Like that Marvel game, the video game that we played. I don't think people care about the voice acting in that as much as people care about the characters. Whereas you were playing like an anime game.
So wait, but what didn't that game do kind of bad?
No, maybe not the. I don't know about the game that we played specifically together, but then in the first two games they did very well, which is why
there wasn't there like a Avengers game.
Yeah,
that came.
I don't know.
That's
not the one we played. No.
Yeah, it came out I think like sometime last year, and they kind of made their own iterations of the Avengers. It's not like the actual MCU movie Avengers.
Yeah.
No, not even the voice actors. Like they legit made like different versions of Captain America and Tony Stark, and like the Hulk and all that.
That's the thing about the Marvel franchise. They will like do anything to milk it. Like which is why they made their video game. They saw how well they know the movie's going to do well, so they just sell the video game as a product, and then it's a pretty easy cash grab, honestly, because a lot of people who like the movie are going to buy the video game as well, and the video games aren't always going to be good,
Mm-hmm. I mean, have you ever like played any like video games or like watched any like Western cartoons like that where you like recognize a voice or like seems kind of familiar to you?
Sometimes, but I think it's less so than that because the talent, like I think it's because the talent that's used in certain shows and games are just the pool is a lot more diverse, like there's voices, the people who voice what the fuck English, people who do voices in SpongeBob are not the same people who's going to do voice in Lego Batman the video game. I think that's because all those things don't connect very well. Whereas with the anime world, like in anime games, it's a lot more connected because the pool isn't as large, so it's like a very set amount of people, and you just hear them across different video games and stuff.
They're pretty much the same as the voice actors of the anime and the video game most of the time.
Yeah, I think there's like a lot of like cross pollination when it comes to like anime and anime video games, I reckon.
Yeah, because like the talent pool is like contained in those things, whereas with like in the West, when it comes to cartoons and video games, I think the two groups of VAs are separated and they don't interact as much. They can cross over, which happens, but not as often as in anime and video games, I think. Which is why in anime video games, I think people care more about they take note of the voices more because it's a lot more. More often than not, you'll recognize a voice or two because whether you're listening in Japanese or English, I think it happens to anime fans in general a lot more often.
Yeah, I reckon there's not a whole lot of like cross pollination as much in the West when it comes to like games or like shows and all that.
Yeah,
it's like
we also don't take animation very seriously here. I think that's like another big thing. And in with anime, they care a lot more about what they're doing than we do about here. For our culture, we care a lot more about live action stuff.
Yeah, indeed.
Well.
I mean, the only animation that really gets taken seriously here in the West is like Disney and Pixar.
Yeah, and even then, it's
anything that's like
more like a children's thing,
Yeah, 2D anime is definitely viewed as like for kids, sort of thing. Or unless you're Miyazaki, then they'll like
Everyone's like,
it's Miyazaki. Yeah. Oh, I know that guy, and that's like the only like anime that kind of takes taken seriously. What was the director for like your name again? What's his name?
Makoto Shinkai.
Makoto Shinkai. Yeah, I mean he's like also not on the same level as like Miyazaki, of course, but it's like kind of like rising up there a little bit.
I mean, he did pretty well here, but I would imagine he's way larger in Japan than he is here.
Oh, definitely.
100%. We don't, because our culture doesn't take animation as seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it wasn't as big as it could have been here.
I'm just saying, like, if there's like any other like other 2D or like anime like director that could have a chance at getting more recognition, it would be Makoto Shinkai here.
It would be him of everyone, because
of anyone else. Like I've had like a shot of getting like mentions.
Yeah. What I do like seeing is just having more options to watch when it comes to media. Like here in the West, we like I said in like the previous episode, like 90% of the stuff we see on movies and stuff is from Disney, so we don't get that much variety of storytelling and all that. Whereas getting like the occasional Makoto Shinkai movie come over and do well is awesome. I love that Parasite in Korea did well, and did well here as well. That was awesome. Squid Game, which was a recent thing, did well as well. I like seeing foreign stuff do well and getting popularized here because it shows us like, hey, we're not the only ones putting out good content for people to watch. Yep. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, we've been kind of been like familiar with like how Korea or Korean media has like kind of been like on the rise like the past couple of years.
Yeah,
and as you mentioned, like with Parasite and like Squid Game on Netflix that came out, like that's been like pretty talked about or pretty hot on the list right now of what people have been talking about here in the West usually, and I reckon that's going to continue as well. I don't know how, because like Korea's kind of like it's not new-ish, but it's still relatively new in the grand scheme of things, with like with media.
They've been putting out great movies for years. Just that it's just getting more global attention now. Like
exactly.
With how easy it is to access with Netflix and all that stuff, it's I think that's pretty dope.
Yeah, the quality's always been there. It's just getting more recognition in the West.
Yeah. That like for me, I'm sure there are plenty of French movies, plenty of Thai movies that are great. That just never came across my radar, And I think more exposure to that, whether it's just through Netflix or
like the Mr. Bean movie.
Through the theaters, I think that shit's cool. I love diversity of storytelling. Like with anime, I really like anime, but sometimes the anime formula gets tiring sometimes, and I just want something else. But having that diversity of
and then you're just like, all right.
Yeah, because like we've seen like the same tropes because we've been watching anime for years now. So a lot of its stuff is like either like becomes popular and that is like it's a very new and novel idea, or they do the exact same formula, but they do that formula extremely well.
Yeah.
And it's just like like I think Demon Slayer, for example, does that that whole monster of the week flavor thing very well. But yeah, they do it incredibly well, and it's just very popular.
Yeah, it just depends on what sells, because like one of the things that sells is isekais, and I'm guilty of watching more isekais than I really should be because I do hate them sometimes from time to time.
Yes.
Because if you guys don't know what isekai is, it just means like other world where the general plot of the 5,000 isekai animes are out there or manga is just that some normal guy lives on Earth, gets killed, or whoever else moves on to the alternate universe where it's like a RPG world, and then in that world he gets bitches, and then he's like super overpowered, and then he beats the fuck everybody who dares challenges him, and then the girls fall more and more in love with him because he's so nice and powerful, and harem fulfillment. The end, or not the end. It just keeps going with the same shit.
Someone was nice to me. Oh my god, I need to drop my panties, bro.
Yeah, it's like that.
No
meme,
one's ever done that before.
They're in a cafeteria.
This review is number 1.
It's a cafeteria where they're like she's like, hey, can you please like pass the salt? And he's like, sure. And she's like, oh my god, no one's ever passed the salt to me like that so kindly before. Oh my god, what's his name? He's so adorable. Like that shit gets annoying when it's repeated like 5,000 times across different isekai anime, and that's why I don't like, because I don't blame the authors who make these series, because what happens in the anime world is that when you're a light novel, you're writing a short version of a novel, and then you're like, well, I love writing anime stories and all that stuff, but I can't seem to make a living, and then you see the trend of people writing like, I was kicked in the ass and hit by a car. Now I'm reincarnated as a paper airplane, and you see that do well, and you're like, shit. I need to have my own take on this, and then you join in the game. Insert cute anime girls who fall in love with the MC, make them overpowered. You just pump that out, and you make rent that month. Because that's what sells, and
wasn't there someone like a story where someone got reincarnated as like a vending machine or something?
Yes.
Yeah, some of these stories are getting so absurd because they're trying to be unique about it, but at the end of the day, it's still the same story,
The selling point is the absurdity of like, there's no sane person would come up with this idea. Therefore, vending machine or sex worker or something.
Yeah, and then there's also that weird aspect of like how the MC like owns slaves, because it's the norm in that world, but he needs it to get by for some reason, and but by taking the slaves, he shows how nice he is by taking in the slaves, and the girls are like, "Oh, I like being your slave. I don't want to be freed." And that part's a little weird too. Some animes I even enjoyed did that thing. And that's little, I didn't like that part, but I still enjoyed the series despite it. But that was weird, and it's been done over and over, and the writers do it because they need to make rent, and if they try to make the next Death Note or the next Demon Slayer, it's not a guarantee it's going to happen, so it's easier to just write an isekai story and just pump it out.
Well, going back to our original topic about the whole international media thing with with like Korea, Japan, what's your thoughts on like or like Korean manhwa or like Chinese
anime? I know those are more prominent, like
I remember
Tower of God, and what was it? God of High School got an anime adaptation, and those are like Korean webtoon sources. No, they're not Japanese, and I do know that I was on Funimation. I saw some Chinese anime on there. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, that's new, and I don't know how good they are, but there's more of that too. And I think gatekeeping them because they're not Japanese is really weird. It's like they may not be good, or they might be really good. You don't know until you give it a watch. So more diversity of entertainment is always cool, even if it's like anime in different languages. I really don't care.
I remember we had this conversation a couple weeks ago when we were last hanging out at Dean's house.
Yeah,
and I was like, brought up this idea like, oh, I heard there's like this one Chinese anime was like pretty good. And we were like got into discussion like it's kind of hard to watch just because like the language itself.
Yeah, it does sound. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, Chinese kind of does sound ugly, and it is a fucked up take. But I do think Vietnamese, my secondary language, is also very ugly sound language. So it is what it is. Okay, you can hate me all you want, but yeah, that is a barrier to me. But if the series is good enough, I can get over it. Like whatever. Got you.
Yeah. Very, very progressive of you.
And if there's an English dub, I'm switching to that. Okay. Like, at the end of the day, like
it makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I do it for Japanese anyway. Like it's been mentioned that I watch English dub for anime as well.
Oh right, that's true. I forgot.
Yeah.
You mostly watch the dub.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I can't really like bash you on that because I also kind of think like my mother tongue is also kind of meh. I don't like the sound of it like Cambodian or like the proper way like Khmer. I don't like the sound of it, even though I do plan to like try to learn it. I guess at one point in the future, I'm not gonna be happy about it, but I'm just doing it just because like trying to communicate with relatives at one point whenever I go to visit. But yeah, I get that. It's I just like the idea of like hearing or like hearing more startups or like other anime or like other entertainment just getting more recognition internationally. Just because like not only are the languages different itself, but also like concepts and cultures and ideas are also like vastly different as well. But also like close enough or hits close enough to home because like it's my personal belief that like, most regular people, no matter where you are have like the same worries and like a lot of very similar dreams and goals in life, but told through like a different lens or like different medium or story. It's just like a different way of telling it that you never would have thought of before, just because like the culture itself is like so different, but at the same time so fascinating. That's why I like the idea. Like I heard stuff like I don't remember when this happened, but like a couple years ago, I heard there was a game that came out like in some part of Africa that was like did really well. It was like something like told through like a spider or something like that. It was like some kind of video game. I was like, oh, that sounds like super neat. I never looked into it because I think I was like working at the time and I just like eventually forgot about it. But just like stuff like that like fascinates me.
Yeah, like there's like because when you're born in the United States, you're exposed to only what you learn in school usually, and then whatever catches your interest. But it's harder to come across things on your radar to really like like with anime. I didn't get into anime until high school, where it took until like everyone was talking about AOT and Sword Art Online for me to give it a shot. And if these things catch wind and people get take note of it, that's awesome because there's different types of storytelling in different regions of the world that is unique and just sometimes it's told in a way you never heard it before. And if it's like what you said, one of the example you said, then having that get viral on Netflix or wherever is pretty cool. And I'm just a big fan of art in general. Like I consider anime an art, video games an art form as well. Even live action movies is an art as well because it's trying to make you feel something, whether it's like sadness, anger, happiness, horny. There's a wide range of emotions it can make you. Like when you're watching hentai, it is an art form to get you horny and for you to want to beat off, and it does a lot of people are into that, and if you like that. That's awesome. If you don't like it, that's perfectly fine because there's other options for you to consume as well.
I mean, sometimes it's an art form to get horny. Sometimes it just happens. Sometimes you just like come across something. It's like, oh, there we are. There it goes.
It serves its purpose, not either way. And sometimes you just want to watch hentai for the plot, and you don't want to beat off at all. But like we did at Fanime, we were watching for the plot, like true scholars would.
We're not watching it for the plot. We're just watching it for the novelty, just like watching with hentai with a bunch of strangers at once. That in itself was like
an art museum. It's a public thing where you and other strangers just admire art. It's just with hentai night, it was just people like cartoon people. I'm sorry, animated people fucking. It sometimes it's not even animated people. Sometimes it's bugs. Like. So, it's just more of that is always cool.
You guys ever come across like any hentai drawings or like fan art or whatever, and like the art is like so good you're not even horny, you're just like I'm just like sit here and just like marvel at the art, like it's like really good.
And
it just turns to horny off and you're just like this is amazing.
Like
a lot of effort into this.
And and those people, you just got hand it to them because they do it for a living sometimes, and a lot of thought and care was put into it. And if you jerk off, you jerk off. If you don't jerk off, it's fine. Just art's always cool, and people really underestimate the impact art has on people.
I hear that. I don't know if this whether it's true or not. It's probably like true for like some people, like hentai artists or like lewd artists. I think they say like one of the greatest compliments they get is like, "Yeah, I jerked off to your art. I jerked off to your work before." And they're like, "Thank you. That's what I wanted."
That's the goal.
That is the goal.
That is
the goal.
That's the goal. Like, I need
And sometimes, like another thing I hear is that you do commissions where people will, like tell you like, hey, are you willing to draw this? So so I can beat off to it. And sometimes it can range from like wholesome vanilla two couples fucking in a library to like, yeah, I want to draw like a raccoon girl getting pounded by like a 5-headed demon dog or some shit. But if you're willing to do it, that's money for you. Yeah.
Hey,
yeah, especially
it is art. It's like it's not hurting no one.
It's not hurting anybody. It's just that like it's just what you're willing to pay for and what you're willing to draw. As long as it's consensual, that's all that matters.
Of course. What's your now? We're trying. I'm gonna ask a very uncomfortable question because we are in the realm of art right now. Art is like different from reality. What's your thoughts on like you guys ever come across any like lewd or hentai stuff of lollies in like anime? Like I know like part of your opinion, Jim, on this when it comes like people are into lollies. What's your thoughts on like when it comes like in hentai form? Like,
okay. Well, there's a difference between anime lollies and lewded anime lollies. So with anime lollies, I can understand the appeal if you're like, oh, this is a 9-year-old anime girl. She's cute. She says cute things like, oh, why are you holding hands? Or or you guys are gonna make a baby by holding hands or some shit. I can get that. Okay, I was like, okay, that's fine. But when you lewd lollies though, by being like, by having them wear like having them be naked, but then having their nipples be hidden by like a bandage or some shit. I think that's 100% degenerate shit, and it makes the broader anime community look bad because you're looting the embodiment of a little girl. Like you're fetishizing the form of a little child, and when you beat off to that, I think it's you low key thinking like, damn, little girls are kind of sexy though. Like it's kind of like a pedophilic trait. They might not describe themselves as being pedophiles, or they might not fuck children in real life, but I think that type of shit is really concerning, and people who try to excuse them beating off to like lewd lollies, I think they're just massive coping that they're not a pedophile, because
because there's definitely been times where I'm like searching up hentai and just going through like Google images and all that, and you're like, all right, this next picture and all that. And eventually, at some point, like for some reason, like the search results like something pops up. You're like, as you're scrolling, you see like, wait a minute. You go back and like, I think that definitely looks like a kid. That definitely looks like a drawn child.
Yeah,
getting looted.
Here's my take. I think
people like very uncomfortable. Like, oh, all right, let's get out of there.
Like, I think I just want to say, like, I think watching a dog fuck like a 20-year-old girl, I think that's okay. It's not my thing, but it's whatever. But then if you're fucking like a 11-year-old girl in a hentai, or even if it's like a 1,000-year-old girl, but then she looks like she's 11, that's also cope. By the way, I think that's too far. I think I draw the line at pedophilia. When it comes to animals and stuff, like I don't agree with it myself. Like I don't care for it, but it's not to the same danger as it is with and like with a little girl, or a little boy for that matter.
Are you against that? And this is gonna be like like a question in that, like, well, are you? I'm
assuming you're asking in devil's advocate if you're advocating for position against mine, but. Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's more just like, are you okay with that art being drawn, like, in the first place, or like, should it be allowed?
I think the artist should not be blamed for it, because usually it's commission where you're getting paid to do it. Not every artist is well off, because if anyone knows about the meme of the starving artist, it's artists. Like they know that it's very difficult to make a living off of it, whether it's like trying to become the next Van Gogh, or if it's just drawing commissions online.
Because my thing was going to be like having a discussion about is art? Would you like consider like art being different from like real life? What you view like through media
I
or
do
through
think
like
it's
art.
different, but I think what you want to be drawn as art can be indicative of what you want in real life.
Sure, but like it's like, is it fine to like even do like a lot of like drawing a lot of fucked up stuff in art as long as it's not hurting people in real life?
It really depends. If you're drawing like a rape scene, I don't, I think rape is fucked up, obviously, but I think people who are into rape scenes aren't like usually rapists themselves. But I think with that, the problem lies in the act, not
Mm.
the person getting fucked. That's not it's about the act, not the object. Whereas with lollies, it's more about the object that is the theme of the scene, not the act itself.
But
Or
then you can like,
incest is more about the act of fucking like
Alabama.
fucking your cousin or sister, mom, whatever it else.
when are you sure? Wouldn't you argue that incest would also kind of be like the object as well? Because like the object of or the act of like having sexual relations with someone that's related to you.
Yeah, that is concerning, but I think that speaks more about the broader issue. Because the reason why people watch incest porn is because they it's more about it's not about the act of fucking the sister as much as it's about the act of fucking someone that you have a strong emotional connection to, which in hentai is represented by a cousin, sister, or mom. Whereas with the lolly thing,
It's a child.
if you're fucking a lolly, they can only be representative of the form of the form of a child body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you could kind of see how like there's like a lot of like blurry lines between like a lot of that stuff.
No.
No?
I think with this one it's black and white. It's clearly if you're talking about the act, uh, then it can be okay. But usually with the lolly thing, it's about the object, which I think is not good.
All right. So I remember I asked this question about like would whether or not to like blame the artist. Like let's say for example,
Yeah.
like you mentioned like if they had to do it for a commission, like the starving
Right.
artist thing. What if they're literally drawing this just because like I'm drawing this because I enjoy it? Would you still be on this have the same position like they should be allowed to like draw that stuff or just be like nah it's banned let's do
I wouldn't.
that's not
By the way, I wouldn't. I wouldn't ban people from making art. I would obviously ban people from fucking children, but from art, I wouldn't
absolutely
ban
like
them.
in real life
I
yeah
would want like heavy societal pressure against them doing it, though. Yeah.
okay because like I remember having this like conversation before with like in another Discord server like a couple months ago when it came to like incest when it came to art
Mhm.
and there was like a couple people who like drew that red line like nope definitely not incest in art. If you're like an artist does that I lose 100% respect for them.
No, I don't agree with
Yeah,
that take.
yeah. Yeah, that's why I was like, I'm having this like I bring this up now when it comes to like when it comes to like lollies. Like, should that still be allowed despite the fact it is kind of very degenerate? And if it were to happen
Yeah.
in real life, people would be appalled by it. But should you
Yeah,
separate
yeah,
art from real life?
Like, yeah, I wouldn't ban them for anything. I just would I would use societal pressure, like, hey, like, shame on you for looting like a 5-year-old girl or 8-year-old girl, like,
Mhm.
if you have the choice to not do it, just don't. Why fucking do it,
Mhm.
That's what I would expect. Like, if you're starving, it's like, whatever pays the bills. But yeah, it's like if someone's like really rich, and even if they're like a good person and they're like donating a lot of the money, you still want to pressure them into like trying to do good instead of just being like, well, it's your money, whatever you want to do. Like even if they do generally do good with that money,
Mhm.
it's still good to pressure them in the ideal world, But we're not at that point with the lolly thing or with the rich guy thing.
Mm. And this brings up like another question I have. Like, do you view people who are into pedophilia as more of like a mental issue, or is it more like like a sexual kink or something like that? To put it mildly,
It has to come from mental issue,
mental issue.
I believe.
Well,
You explain
Uh,
further.
that one's a little tough, I think, because it can be the mental issue would mean that it manifested throughout their life, or that something traumatic happened earlier in their lives, which was caused them to have that, or they just literally like have some weird chemical thing to make them like children. I don't know. When it comes to how pedophiles are formed, but then if it's like an innate thing, was that the alternative you provided? Was like innate? They're just like children. Like, what was the other alternative?
Whether or not it's like a mental issue or if it's just like a sexual kink that they have, like similar to like how people are like, oh, I'm into feet, or I'm into like incest porn or something like that.
It depends on how they enact that. With the kink, you can turn off like a foot fetish. Like I mean, in the sense that you could never get a foot job for the rest of your life, and you're like, yeah, it's whatever. But if it's to the point where you choose to only have sex with children, or want to have sex with children, I think that's indicative more of the mental illness problem, or the fact that you don't have mental illness and you just literally do not care. But yeah, if you're a pedophile and you don't fuck children, it's better than the alternative. So I guess that's.
I think you just like children.
Yeah, I'm sure there's like definitely people like that exist where like they like the idea of having sex with children, but they're like, nah, I'm not going to do that just because like societally I'm gonna die from that, or like obviously it's illegal, you're gonna go to jail for that. So they're like, I'm just gonna focus only on the lolly hentai porn. It's like that's like a happy medium for me, just like keeping the kink.
You're saying like the lolly porn acts as an outlet for them to relieve their like mental.
Yeah, because I'm sure that definitely exists. It may not be like a huge thing, but I'm sure it definitely exists.
Yeah, I mean it's better than the alternative for sure. But I think if it's not like a mental thing for some people, which some people it is, some people it's not, then I would hope that that's ideally then no. But I wouldn't ban anyone from commissioning it or whatever. I just think that they should be shamed for it.
So just like shame societally for it, and not to do it. Gotcha.
Yeah, which obviously it is, like not with anime lolis, but with with child porn. Obviously, like anyone with child porn, they're dead to me. So that's good, but I would want the conversation to be talked more when it comes to anime lolis, because I think that's indicative of potential behavior. With some people, it's just they're just like, it's a drawing, but yeah, I don't feel too good about that as a concept as a whole.
Yeah, this would be like productive if we had like someone who was like in the lollies in the group, but I think most, if not all of us in our group, are like more into MILFs. So
yeah,
MILFs. Yeah, I know DNN are into MILFs, so we can't really put like really good insight or input into this one, and like any justification of why lollies are like a lot of people's preferences.
Yeah. And also I would put a distinction between it is a little weird, but when it comes to anime girls, because usually anime girls are usually like within high school age, because in Japan, that's the target audience. Is like, hey, high schoolers, and also people who want to relive high school. So I think that's more forgivable, even if the characters are like 16, 17, because they're not drawn to be that age. They're drawn to be like, hey, look how sexy they are. But with the lollies, it's a lot more clear cut. We're like, okay, little girl,
Don't you hate it when you like come across like an anime and there's like one character that's like very attractive, and you're like, oh man, they have to be at least like 17 or an adult at least, and it says like big boobas in the bio, they're 14 years old. I'm like, fuck, god damn it.
Yeah. Well, we're on this. I really wish there were more anime. I really wish there were more anime that had like attractive girls that weren't in high school. Like I get why, because the reason why is because in Japan, high school is seen as like the peak of your life, and then after that you enter the workforce and you just become one of the gears in society, and I think that's really depressing, and I really wish that culture would change. But even without that happening, I just wish there was more anime that takes place in at least college. You know, like that'd be cool. Like, why can't an isekai protagonist at least be like 20 and all the girls be like 20 or some shit instead of all them being 15, 16? Like,
I mean, there's a slime isekai.
Yeah, sure.
Wasn't he like in his 30s or something?
But I'm saying there should be more of that. Less high school characters, more older characters. You know. Because again, diversity of media is always cool. I'm tired of seeing dumbass high school children try to save the world.
MC, because I thought he was in college. No,
I believe I don't remember. He might be college age. Yeah, I don't remember. It's been a while since I last watched it. But again, more of it is good. Less high school clubs, like, please, you know. Not just because I'm not that age, but because I just want more diversity. Like, it's like Isekai in anime is like the teen high school movie in the West, where you have like the main character who's kind of attractive, but doesn't want to fit in with the cool kids because the cool kids are all jerks. The cool kids are usually jocks, and there's like the nerds, like the goths, like that whole thing. That's like the Isekai of the West, where it's been done a million times before, and we need less of that and more of variety of stuff.
I remember watching a couple clips of like I forgot what it's called. It's like retro anime or something like that that popped up my YouTube homepage, and it kind of made me come to realize like how animators like drew people in anime in like the 80s or the 90s or sometimes even the 70s.
Yeah,
a lot of the women they drew in that time frame looked a lot more realistic, and in like my opinion, looked a lot more attractive that way. Because you know how like anime girls like these days kind of look like
the character never works out or anything, but has like a huge ass and huge tits. Or
like if it were in real life, you were like in the anime, it looks really attractive. But if it were like in real life, you're like, I don't know about that. Yeah. But how they kind of like drew it back in like the 80s, like it looked good. But if you also imagine like a person would look like this like in real life too. Yeah. Like it would be like very similar. Like I would have to like bring up the clip what I'm talking about, but I'm like trying to like search up a couple on Google right now. No, it wasn't made in like the 80s, but it was like made in like an 80s art style, you know. So I'm trying to like find that, and that was like months ago when that popped up, and I just remembered it just now. But like, oh,
someone's fucking with my lights.
Yeah. All right, I found the channel. I just need to find the clip. I'll get back to you guys on that, or maybe even after. I don't remember. You could give me a list of names. I'm not gonna remember.
I mean, either way, I think I'm fine either way. I'm cool with the more realistic approach. I'm also cool with like the super like obnoxiously large tits and obnoxiously large ass and everything. I don't care if there's like a shit ton of fan service, as long as it doesn't get in the way of the storytelling. I think it's really important. It's okay to like stuff when you're horny, but if you're watching an anime and not a hentai, I think the storytelling needs to be a bigger part of it. And in a lot of series, because it's easier to sell, the fan service gets in the way of the storytelling. And yeah, that's what I don't like about a lot of manga and anime.
I think I found it. When was this made? It says 2019. City Hunter Shinjuku Private Eyes came out in 2019. Anime. That's an old anime?
Yeah, I think they just re-uploaded it.
Yeah, it says 2019. But I'm just saying, the art style of the women in that movie.
Sorry, what the title was?
City Hunter Shinjuku Private Eyes.
It's like the...
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, they look good.
Yeah, I'm like saying like, holy shit! It's like definitely looks like an old art style, but the women there look amazing in my eyes.
Yeah, it looks like they're not high school age, unless I'm wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah,
they look great.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the leotards, but I'm just like shit, son. I guess.
Yeah, I like different art styles as well. Like this looks good. I couldn't even tell that this was from the 80s. You said.
That's what Dean said.
80s, but then I think this movie is new, but they
yeah, it says 2019.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it definitely got that old art style.
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome. seeing more of this would be cool. Like not that I don't like the current art style as well, but I think there's a place for this as well.
Yeah, it just looks more proportional and more realistic, which I again therefore makes it more attractive.
JoJo's I don't care for, like, but I can get why people like it.
Isn't just the absurd? I've never watched JoJo, but isn't just the absurdity of it?
Yes.
Yeah, and some people vibe with it, some people don't, but but people who vibe with it, like the art that different alternative to like,
what you see regularly, just like in
like
any other
whatever you see on that's cool.
I think JoJo is like the absurdity and
The style, I think.
Style
the overall style is what draws people in. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I gave the series a shot a couple times. I just couldn't get into it, but it does it for some people.
I only got to the third part. I read the manga way long ago.
I've never watched a lick of like of JoJo. So yeah. I know a lot of JoJo fans.
I know that JoJo fans really love JoJo.
They really love JoJo, and they really love it when other people get into JoJo. From what I hear.
Yeah, but I gave it a shot. I couldn't get into it myself, but I can see why people do like it. It's like a bunch of macho men like being absurd and doing crazy things and having crazy fights. I can see why people like it. It's like Marvel movies. I don't care for them, but I can see why people can get really into the MCU universe.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I'm just trying to search up stuff. I'm not adding anything to this conversation. I need to close this. I'm gonna close this.
By the way, even though I just shit talked Marvel movies, one superhero I've always had a soft spot for was Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, and I watched the recent movie. I watched Far From Home, I believe it was, and I think he's having one. There's like another movie coming in December. 2 months. Yeah, and I gotta say, I haven't watched the Andrew Garfield movies, but I gotta say, Tom Holland is really good at being Spider-Man. I think he does a great job, like with the humor and the whole vibes of being like, I'm a kid, I'm a nerd, but I'm also this cool hero as well. I think he's he plays a better Spider-Man and Peter Parker than Tobey Maguire did, but I think his movies are not as good. I think
some people would say that's sacrilege, what you just said.
Yeah.
Some people would say that.
His acting is good. I think the movies are bad, though. I don't like the movies.
I don't know if I really watched any of the Tobey Maguire.
Tobey Maguire he's the better Peter.
I think Tom plays a better Peter.
It's not just like dated.
Andrew is the
dated Spider-Man.
And then Tom Holland's like the good mix as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I would agree with that. Yeah. Except I think Tom's Peter Parker's more interesting. Like Toby's Peter Parker. Like, look, I'm no comic book guy, so if you know comics and you complain to me in the comments, whatever, I don't care. Okay, because I'm never gonna read the comics and because I never read. Okay. So anyway, Tobey Maguire, I think his Spider-Man was way too like me, Spider-Man. I'm Peter Parker. My spider bit me. With Tom Holland, he does a lot better job with the humor, which is Spider-Man is supposed to be funny. That's one of the selling points of Spider-Man. And the thing I don't like about the Tom Holland movies, even though I think the acting is fantastic, is that I don't like that he's like Tony Stark's pet project, where it's like. He's like, I'm Tony Stark. Shit, you want to join me? Hey, like I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna help you become a better superhero. Whereas with Maguire movies, he becomes a better hero through like loss and through experience, and just like fighting his like inner battle within himself to become a better Spider-Man. I think that part of the storytelling is much better than the Tom Holland stuff. The Tom Holland stuff is like, I'm sorry, Mr. Stark, I fucked up. He's like, yeah, you damn right you fucked up. You better learn your lesson. And he's like, fuck, man, I fucked up. And then in the second movie, same thing. Oh, I'm sorry, Nick Fury, I fucked up. Yeah, why'd you fuck up? We shouldn't have fucked up. Oh, man, I should have fucked up. I need to stop fucking up. And then it's recycled again. And I'm just like, well, that's kind of lame, And I think Spider-Man's better self-contained inside New York than he is like being this like global Avenger hero, But that's just my take on it.
It's like your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yeah, he's the hero of the working class, not not a hero that works under this world-renowned billionaire and tech genius. You know,
He's a blue collar superhero.
Yeah. If you want the billionaire guy, Tony Stark does the job, or DC Batman does the job, which I don't care for him as much as I've stated. But Spider-Man, just leave him in New York and let him do his own thing. I think the stories aren't more charming that way.
The only boss he gets is the man who wants pictures of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Way out of it.
I hear Garfield was too douchey to be a good Spider-Man in general.
Oh, yeah?
That's what I heard. I don't know.
His Peter Parker sounds like a cool guy, like a bully Peter Parker type.
A bully?
Yeah, I've like seen like almost none of those Spider-Mans, so I can't really contribute to this conversation too much.
But again, I watched them just to see how it compares, because I'm like, damn, I kind of like Spider-Man. I want to see how they are, and yeah, I don't like the movies, but again, the acting, I think he does a fantastic job in that. But if you guys disagree, just let me know in the comments, whatever. Maybe my shits are complete shit. My takes are complete shit, for all I know, because I know nothing about comics and I don't care.
Damn.
Yeah.
It's like when manga readers, no offense, Dean, are like, read the manga. The anime is shit. Read the manga. You know, it's just like I don't care. I'm watching the anime series, and if I don't like it, I don't like it. I don't have to read.
We're too monkey brain. We need colors and we need music and we need voice acting.
Yeah.
If it's just like still look, that's too much effort.
And usually the manga version is better, but then I just want to see stuff move. Okay, I don't want to turn the page and imagine it moving. Fuck that.
Monkey brain. This monkey brain is to see colors and movement.
Yeah, I don't usually care. Like for the Demon Slayer, the manga has ended like a year ago, and like I know where the story ends, and then I'm just like, all right, it's your guys' turn. Watch the movie, watch the season 2 that's coming out, and then how you feel. That's all I do.
I think I may have been.
Weren't you watching, like, consuming Demon Slayer for the first time when we were watching it?
Yeah.
Okay. But then you went past that, right?
Yeah, I'm already past.
Okay, gotcha.
I saw the ending. It's alright. Eren Yeager's mom didn't.
But then again, the anime can always change things up. That's the thing about anime. Yeah, they do change things up for no reason sometimes.
They change it with fuck. I just know the Japanese name. Akame ga Kill.
Oh.
I think that's also the English name. Yeah.
I think so too. I think how most people recognize the Akame ga Kill. Yeah, that was like a huge change in that.
Yeah, some series don't get English names because sometimes the English name kind of sucks. Like Jujutsu Kaisen, its English name was going to be sorcery fighting, and then they're like, well, this sounds really generic. Fuck that. So they just kept the Japanese name because it rolls off the tongue a lot better.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, Akame ga Kill was like one of the few anime and manga that I've like both consumed, and yeah,
which deviated a lot. I read the manga after watching half of the anime. And then went back to the anime, and then the anime was like, what the fuck? Where are you going? The turn is right there. Where are you going? Yeah. It says manga ending right there, and then they just.
The way I learned the anime ended the other way was I had a buddy who watched the anime but didn't read the manga. And then I read the manga but didn't watch the anime, and then he was like, how'd you like the ending? I was like, oh, it wasn't so bad, so and so, blah blah blah, that happened. And then she's like, that's not what happened in the anime. I was like, well, I read the manga.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. The manga was edgy to an absurd degree. Like the whole anime itself was edgy. Like,
yes, it was. I would have been way happier had I just stuck with the anime instead of reading the manga.
The manga ending, it was like, well, we're already kind of edgy. What if we just take it a dial further? And then
they went all the way further.
Yeah, they said the dial, but then somebody actually slipped it to like almost back.
It just malfunctioned. Yeah.
asked the creator, like, how much edge do you want? And he said yes.
Berserk level style edge.
Yeah, so, like, if we're talking about a masterpiece, no, it is nowhere close.
It was fucking awful. I was angry reading the manga. I hated it.
There's a part where I would have been perfectly okay if they just cut it off from the anime completely. Was the part where the clown and the kid, and it's just a rape fest between the clown and the kid, and then the female and like the one dude. I just remember there being like this massive rape orgy, and I was like, you know what? If this is not an anime, I'm perfectly okay. Just cut this shit out. I'm cool. Okay, I don't need this.
Those guys just like added nothing to the plot except like here's the bad guys, but here's like the bad guys that make the other bad guys look a lot
this is how
decent
bad
in
they really
comparison.
are. Yeah.
There's no redeeming qualities. There's like none. This guy, he's a clown. He likes to like have sex with like little children and then kill them.
Yeah.
You hate this guy.
So if they cut that part, I've been okay, but the part of the kid raping the clown kid raping the kid, I've been okay if they cut it out and just be like, hey,
I'll cut that out. I thought I was okay with that. I'm like, wait a minute.
If they just cut that out and if they kept the characters and make them evil and stuff, but they cut out the random rape scene, then it's whatever. But they just deviated a little too far from the manga.
Yeah, besides like, the rape, the little pedophilia thing, them like cutting people in half and all that stuff. That was like, that's sick.
Like, if you want to make someone like look evil as a pedophile, you don't need to show the pedophile scene. Okay, just be like, this guy's a pedophile. Like, okay, we got it. We cool. We don't need it. We don't need a graphic rape scene. Okay, we're good.
Yeah, they're like, explain to me pedophilia. Here you go, sir.
I would have been just fine if they cut that out entirely, just because, like, I don't know, it just feels like a really cheap way to.
If they insist on making him a pedophile, then I would rather just have him like, hey, I like children, rather than just being like, okay, I like children, and grabs a kid, undresses them, and fucks them. Like, I think at least the first one, it's everyone gets the idea, and then everyone can move on.
Yeah, sure, but I'm just saying, like, that feels like a really cheap way.
Of course it is. It's like when you're watching wrestling, and the guy's like, hey, San Jose, fuck you guys. Hey, Houston, fuck you guys. And then everyone boos them. It's like a really cheap way to make someone hate you, but, it does work. And
yeah.
But, obviously there's a better way to make them hate you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't we have, like, Jim, didn't we have a conversation, like, a couple weeks ago about, like, I think, about characters and just, like, how in stories, like, these days, like, a lot of bad guys in, like, media just, like, very sympathetic or, like, very relatable.
Yeah. I like a mix. Like sometimes you can make them pure evil, but you don't need to insert like also he's a pedophile and then have him rape a kid. You can tell you can make them absurdly evil and have no redeeming qualities without adding pedophilia or just adding even rape sometimes. Yeah,
I just don't remember it was like you or like someone else. That said like that got kind of tired. It was like it's a sympathetic and relatable bad guy. Oh, it's another one.
Like I do like that trope. I just don't like how often it's being used. Like
got you. Yeah,
it feels like it's being inserted everywhere all the time.
Yeah. I think it was you I had this conversation with.
Yeah.
There definitely needs to be like a good mix. It's just like the volume of like very sympathetic bad guys.
Just like the protagonist, we don't need a chill protagonist who's nice to people and his personality is just him being nice. We could use like a douchebag MC every now and then. Sometimes.
Yeah. What, you say like he's like an anti-hero, or he's just an asshole? We're along for the ride.
It could be an anti-hero. It could be an asshole. It could be like the chadliest of chads. Just like lantern jaw, eight biceps, like 18 abs. Like I don't care. Like just mix it up every now and then. Just mix up the formula. Yeah, because it's a lot more interesting if you write a character that's compelling without resorting to like here's a cookie cutter formula for this MC, cookie cutter formula for the big titty girl,
I think that's just the Shonen Jump formula right there.
The Shonen Jump formula is like cookie cutter MC, loves to fight, loves food, everyone respects him after fighting him, even if they hated him before. Yeah, that is also pretty cookie cutter as well.
Power equals or is greater than evil.
Yeah.
Power of friendship solves all.
Like I think it's okay for you to be inspired by like Dragon Ball and be like, oh, I kind of want to write my own version of Dragon Ball, but a little bit different. I think that's fine, but when it's like done to an absurd degree, where it's like, anime after anime after anime is very similar to just one anime. It takes too much of the media that you're watching. I think that's when it goes too far.
Yeah, speaking of God of High School was inspired by Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
I also never saw God of High School.
It's a guy who's a god of the high school.
Of course.
And he fights a lot.
I would not recommend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got you.
I know you guys like the moving stuff, but that one just the plot's just all over the place. Like,
But the colors though.
the manhwa has colors.
All right, yeah.
It's a manhwa.
It's one thing that's superior with like Korean mangas or just manhwas compared to like Japanese stuff. It has colors.
Yeah.
And the art always looks good too.
I'm so picky with manhwa, so it's like I kind of don't like the art style. Like, it's not for me.
Sometimes, but when it came to like porn manhwas, all the characters look really attractive, and it makes things so much more hot because there's colors. I know what's happening. Sometimes when I'm reading like hentai manga, I'm just like, I don't know what the fuck is happening.
You know what's so funny? I haven't not read in a while.
Yeah. The reason why it's black and white is to save money on the ink, but it's like, well,
obviously, yeah. But
you can't tell me this girl has red hair when her hair right now in my eyes is gray. Okay, like you can't stop lying to me.
Is it because like mangas are usually like printed versus like manhwas are more
digital, yeah.
Digitalized, yeah.
It's more like for like your phone.
Yeah.
That's why it's like this color.
Yeah, with manga, they depend on like the physical release, which I guess I don't understand as much because I don't know.
I think that's just a Japanese culture thing where they want they want physical stuff like
yeah, I guess so. But
like DVDs are still like a big thing in Japan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So they like physical copies.
Isn't it wild that they're like, it comes to technology, they're like a few decades ahead, but then when it comes to like that sort of thing, they're like, yeah, we're gonna be stuck in the 1970s.
Some stuff.
Is it wild that Japan is such an anomaly of a place, honestly.
They're both both ahead.
We're futuristic.
Behind at the same time.
We're futuristic, but at the same time, we're retro.
And we use DVDs. What about Blu-ray? Nope, fuck those. Yeah, that's wild.
Don't they still like use like fax machines over there?
I wouldn't be surprised they still use the fucking record player, dude, for music.
I think that's just for like rich people nowadays. Speaking of like physical copies of manga, like I've seen stuff on like Instagram, YouTube, like like the TikToks and stuff. Like people are like they're collecting manga, like physical mangas and stuff. Like
that's like a commodity.
Yeah, like
okay.
they just show it off in their rooms nowadays. Like, damn, I wanted to do that, but I'm so lazy. I'll just stick to the. I don't have money for those. I'll just stick to the fucking websites. I used to. I think we used to like collect the Naruto volumes and the old Dragon Ball ones.
I remember seeing that like in cafes or like you go public library, it's like a wall of like manga.
Yeah, now they're like buying. I mean, yeah, it helps that's how the author gets money from physical copies.
Yeah, indeed.
We are an hour and 13.
Wow.
Yeah,
proud of us, boys.
We actually mostly talk about the same thing, basically.
Yeah,
not intentionally, because when we talk about stuff and whatever we talk about, it's never like planned out or anything. No,
we haven't done planned out stuff in like forever.
Yeah, just context for everyone else. We don't plan out any conversations. We just go, and then we just stuck on art the whole time, which is cool. Art's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
If you're watching this, you're also listening to art. This is art we're making, okay?
It's long form kind of art.
Verbal art.
Interspecies
in a way.
Reviewers #1 anime of the century.
Indeed.
Also, when I started reading Read of the Healer, that was a roller coaster.
I saw bits of that up from the internet. I'm like, that seems too yikes for me.
Yeah, I didn't think it would go that way, but I was like, oh.
Yeah, it's very, very rapey. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw one clip, and I didn't see anything, but it was like implied. Apparently, like some girl's bones got broken. I'm like, no, I can't watch this.
Yeah, I think the scene was like he breaks her bones while he's raping her, and then he heals them just to break them over and over again. That's a form of torture.
Yeah, like her like fingers or something. Yeah, no.
You're gonna cut me with all that edge.
Again, as I mentioned before, I could do blood, I could do gore. I can't do broken bones. That's like I physically recoil. Like I can't do this. I can't handle that. No, I can't.
Yeah.
It's been like a kind of a weird phobia of mine. They're just like broken bones.
Yeah,
Or, like,
as
or-
a
or
edgy
breaking out
person
of
myself,
business.
I think if your anime is all about, or your art is all about edge, I think that suffers as well from trying to be too edgy at the same time.
It's more for like the teenager who's just like I'm so dark and edgy. All the time.
I've never seen this before in Arthur. This is new to me, you know. I want an edgy Arthur episode now.
I remember episode where DW got hit in the face with like a swing,
Yeah,
like in the mouth.
it's the famous Arthur meme with the clenched fist, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's that. Even then, I'm just like, nope, I can't. Nope, dude, that's too violent for me. That Arthur
I'm
episode
not
too
gonna
violent for me.
lie,
Like, no, I can't watch.
when I watched that as an older sibling, I'm like, you know what? She kind of got what she deserved. Okay,
I don't remember.
she kind of deserved that for being a little shit.
I don't remember the context of it, but I could like feel the swing, especially if it's like a wooden swing. Like, no,
Yeah.
no, I can't. I can't handle that. That's gonna break a few teeth. I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
You're right. What he should have done was that he should have
Keith?
tuned the band, set up in the corner of the ring, and hit the sweet chin music for the 3 count. 1, 2, 3.
If I one of those like black plastic swings, like the rubber,
Yeah.
that wouldn't be as bad. I'm like,
Yeah,
all right, I could.
for
That's
sure.
fine. But if it's like a plank of wood, no,
Isn't that most
no.
swings are like
That's
black
fucked.
rubber now? Because like
Yeah, I
back
think
then
so.
It was either metallic or wooden, but then that shit hits
Yeah.
you in the face.
That could kill you.
Yeah.
That could legit kill you.
Yeah,
That's
or like
fine.
tires, you know.
Yeah, yeah. All right, we're off to like weird territory. You guys feel like ending it?
Yeah, we can end it.
Yeah.
Alrighty,
All right.
leave it to you.
If you guys enjoyed today's episode, watch our other episodes 1 through 57, already up on YouTube, but this one's coming soon.
Wow.
And yeah, as always, leave a comment. I enjoy reading those whenever they happen, and I like seeing you guys comment on our shitty or great takes. And
Now,
as with me,
Our
my takes
amazing
are always
takes.
awesome.
All of our takes are amazing. They're awesome. They're great.
find out why
Look,
James
that's
doesn't
never wrong.
put comics. Put the comic series and everything.
Yeah. And if Jordan listens to this one and he gets mad about the Marvel takes and doesn't complain to me about it, I'll be very disappointed. Because
Yeah, we need
Because
the
it-
comics and we need the proof.
Isn't he and Jeff like the biggest Marvel fanboys that we know of?
yeah, Jordan's Instagram was literally like Marvel JP or something at some point.
Mm.
So if you have beef with my takes, hey, let me know. I'm happy to see him. Okay, just let me know so I can
We'll bust out the
show you how
wrestling
wrong
mat.
you are. Yeah.
Bust out the wrestling mat.
Yeah.
If you want, we can debate on whether MCU is good or not. Okay, but
Ooh.
anyway, yeah, leaving comments always nice. If you watch us live, leaving comments there is always cool too. If you haven't followed us and you're watching, why you here? Like, follow us. What the fuck?
Yeah.
And yeah, other than that, hope you guys have a wonderful day. And yeah, peace.
Later.
Later.